Hello everyone and welcome to today's session about the Reliance Mid-States and Dixie Region's Agent Insight project. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Agent Insight, this program will provide you a comprehensive overview of the what's, whys, and how-tos of the project. So let's dive in. Now, what began as a marketing initiative in Kansas City to basically increase web traffic and capture buyers has now gone on to be a much more widespread project throughout our 6.5 state region. It kind of began, like I said, as a beta test in Kansas City. And if you look at the website, at its core, it is truly a listing website. Now, there's all kinds of different listing websites. There's Realtor.com, there's Remax.com, there's Trulia, there's Zillow. And the one thing that all of those websites have basically in common is just about the brick and the mortar. It's about a specific listing or just looking at listings. But when someone buys a house, they're really buying into a home. They want to know what the neighborhood's all about. What about the community that neighborhood is found within? So when we look at Agent Insight, we've built sites, and you can see Birmingham there up on the screen, that are extremely insightful with content, very rich content. The content is literally built by the sales associates in that particular area. And the whole concept is, let's develop a one-stop comprehensive buyer's website. So when they go in, they don't just look at specific listings, they look at all the information about a specific neighborhood or subdivision. They can look at specific information about a community. They can check out the churches and the schools and the restaurants and the parks and the museums, all the things that make a community and a neighborhood a home. So what I'd like to do here is take you on a little bit of a tour of the Birmingham website. Before that, I always like to kind of set a few things up. Number one, why is this important? Why should we be building websites when there's so many listing websites out there? Number one, the millennials. You know them also as Generation Y. Their age range is about 18 to 34 years old. And what we're seeing right now is there are 83 million of them in the United States. They're the largest generation in the United States, and they make up about half of the world's population. But when you look at them specifically and we kind of watch what they're doing, of the 83 million, about 20 million right now are in the process of buying a home for the very first time. In the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see the other 60 million plus start diving into that first-time home buying phase as well. So, this particular generation is extremely tech savvy. We know that if we aren't on the internet where we need to be and make it easy for them to be able to find our website when they use the search engines, then we're never going to be found. And the best way to basically build a website that is very sticky, very rich in content, is to really give it great content, to be able to ensure that it is as high up in the search engine ranking results, so that when a buyer goes in and starts to type in homes for sale in Birmingham, in a particular subdivision for a particular price range, we're easily found on that first page of Google and the first few listings. That's where we want to be, beyond a doubt. So that's one thing that's going on with the millennials. The other thing that's happening is the search engines. There's a lot of changes happening to the search engines, and they've been going on for well over a year. The first thing that you'll notice, and it's happened here in the last 9 months or so, is long tail searches. So when you start to go into Google and you type in homes for sale in whatever city, and you kind of see like a little pull down menu. You've noticed that in Google, and it kind of gives you more selections than you might be thinking about. That's a long tail search. It's a longer search. And essentially the search engines kind of learned this from the millennials. They watched how the millennials would be using their search engines, how they would put in more information. I mean, if you put in homes for sale in Birmingham or whatever market that you're in, you're going to get a lot of results. You're going to get a lot of pages, could be a million, could be more, whatever, right? But if you put in homes for sale in your market in XYZ subdivision for $250,000, you're going to get much fewer results, much more finite results. So it's not a whole lot of like millions of pages. It may be a couple thousand or whatever. At that point, that's the whole objective, is that when they do a specific search like that for a specific neighborhood or a subdivision or a city, that we come up on that particular search at the top of the search engine ranking results. They can find our site much easier that way. The other thing that's happened is search engines are moving towards content-based searches. And for those of you who ever built a website and you've tried to increase, its ranking results with search engine optimization, right? You've probably gone in and done some different meta tags, kind of like keywords that you planted into that particular website. Search engines are still using meta tags, but they're moving slowly away from them. What they're doing now is looking at the content of the entire page. Anything on a website page is now taken into consideration, not just a few keywords that you may have planted. So I mean, anything that says Birmingham on a page, or your name, or your RE/MAX office's name, or talks about a specific subdivision or neighborhood, or even a specific community, all of those items are taken into consideration. And when you look at search engines, you know, they're pretty simple. It's quite frankly a popularity contest. That's really what this is. So when you look at the popularity contest, the more times that your name is mentioned, the more times that your office, a city, whatever, a subdivision is mentioned, you know, the higher it's going to climb in the search engine ranking results. Search engines love fresh, local content that is fed to it on a regular basis. You know, the more, and you've noticed this, the more information you put in about something on a regular basis, you know, you put something in every week, you put in something every day, maybe you're changing one of your listings on a regular basis, kind of updating it or whatever, you'll notice that it climbs to the top of the search engine ranking results. And that's because every day the search engines go out and they search every single website on the internet looking for new content. And that's how we can climb the ranking results, by building an extremely rich content site that is fed on a regular basis by the RE/MAX sales associates in that particular area. All right, so let's go in and let's take a look at the Birmingham website. I'm going to take you on a little bit of a tour here. There we go. So this is the website. It is live, and I'll refresh it here just to kind of show you that we'll get the latest and greatest information. There we are. You'll notice that I'm logged in as Paul. Paul's one of the developers that's put together this particular website and actually putting together all of the different websites that we've launched throughout the RE/MAX Mid-States and Dixie region. But if I go down here a little bit, by the way, you'll notice beautiful pictures here of Birmingham. All of the websites that we're building, including the one that's going to be in your area, will feature a beautiful skyline picture and just different shots about that particular city. So if I go down a little bit, a couple things I want to show you. You know, I talked about the content of this page being built by RE/MAX sales associates. That's done in one of two ways. First way is through pictures, you know, telling a story about the community through photos and pictures. The other way is through the written word, and it's kind of likened to a Facebook post. You know, it's 3 or 4 sentences about something in a subdivision. Could be a restaurant, could be a school, could be whatever that you think a buyer would find interesting. But it's information that's going to help a buyer make a decision of an area that they would like to move to or a subdivision they would like to purchase a home in. So it's really true great information. But I mean, again, it's kind of like a Facebook post. A lot of these pages that you're looking at is basically an extended blog. You know, it's kind of like the Facebook for real estate. That's where the concept of this particular website came from. But as you look at it, this is going to be a similar template to the website that's in your area or is already up and running in your area. But as I go down a little bit, you can see these different pictures. All of these photos have been taken by RE/MAX sales associates. And you can see we've got some different cities that are being profiled with Birmingham and Clay and Brook Highland here. But you can also notice that there's all kinds of different subdivisions and neighborhoods also being featured with Weatherly, Oakland Hills, Steeplechase, and the Preserve. So again, all of these photos have been submitted by RE/MAX associates. These cities and communities will rotate on a random basis. So you may go out, come back in, you'll notice that the photos have changed and the communities have changed. If I go down a little bit, here's where that written word, that insight, you know, is what we're calling it, kind of like a Facebook post is being profiled. These two individuals have been randomly drawn out of all the RE/MAX associates who have submitted an insight recently, probably about the top 20 or 25 agents that are selected. Again, the more information you put in on a regular basis, the higher and the more likely that you're going to be what we call our local real estate experts. But you can see here Wayne Fitz with RE/MAX First Choice. He's talking about Camden Cove. It's a subdivision there. It looks like a neighborhood that he thinks is a picture-perfect neighborhood to raise a family. Over here we've got Anthony Warren with RE/MAX First Choice also. He's talking about Helena, the fact that he lived in Deering Downs in Helena for 9 years when my kids were little. So I mean, you're getting some information about these different communities and subdivisions and first I guess person directly from that RE/MAX associate. Over here we've got some pretty cool stuff happening under popular and trending. Popular and trending is what is popular and trending with buyers at this time on this website in real time. So you can see the #1 neighborhood that's trending is Woodruff Farms, and then you can see the top 10 as they follow on down. The same thing for schools. You can see the Jefferson County School District and the Hoover City School District are the top 2. These usually kind of go back and forth a little bit. And then the most popular city today is Trustful. You can see the Clay and McCalla, all of them kind of go down, but those are the top 10 cities that buyers are looking at right now on the website. Kind of cool to be able to kind of go in and see. Maybe you're in that area and you notice, I haven't done a lot of information about Woodruff Farms. That might be a good indication that you need to get out to Woodruff Farms, take some pictures, and tell that story of that particular subdivision through your pictures and through your written word, through the insights. So let's say I'm a buyer. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look around at the Birmingham website. I can explore places to live. And here, I love this interactive map that we're going to be pulling up here. But again, you'll see here we have 3 new featured local experts. Again, just like the front page, randomly drawn out of RE/MAX Sales Associates who have recently submitted information to the website. Going down here a little bit, here's where you can see this interactive map. And it's really cool. As I move around, you'll notice it highlights different areas. So, I can literally tour the entire city, go down and be able to look at a specific community. So let's say maybe you just got a job in north of the city, right? And you want to be able to live in that area. So let's take a look at Gardendale. It's just north of the Metro Birmingham area. So if I click on that, now you can see I've gone from Metro Birmingham down to a specific city of Gardendale. So all the information that you're seeing on this page has all been submitted by RE/MAX Sales Associates. By the way, these little red buttons, they only show up to you, not to the buyer. Okay, so this is, and I'll talk a little bit about these buttons here in just a little bit. But as I go down, you can see there's all kinds of community snapshots that are being featured here on the website. And if I click on here, I can kind of rotate through some different ones. It'll give me different views, different items. You can see it's everything like I mentioned. And it's not just about the neighborhoods. You can see we have a church being featured. You can see a little caption here, Gardendale's First Baptist Church. We've got some day eye care information here. We've got Park Place Pavilion. We also have the Gardendale Medical Center. So it's not just about the subdivision. It's about everything that a community or a neighborhood is made up about. If I click on one of the photos here, and we'll click on day eye care, you can see that Linda Willis with the Gardendale office and RE/MAX Northern Properties has submitted this particular picture. She gets that photo byline. Again, go back to what I was talking about when we're talking about content-based searches. The more times that your name is mentioned, the higher you're personally going to climb in the search engine ranking results too. So the more pictures you submit, the more photo bylines that you receive. Also, Linda could go in here and she could share this particular picture on her Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Google+, LinkedIn, or just grab a link that she could direct a buyer to directly to this picture if she wanted to do something along those lines. Keep in mind that the buyer can also share this information on their Facebook page as well. If I go down here a little bit further, you'll see here's where all the area insights are going to be listed. Like I mentioned, area insight is the written word, 3 or 4 sentences, maybe a paragraph, about something in that neighborhood or community. Something that's going to help, right, a buyer make a decision, give them more information, help them, guide them through which community they want to live in your metropolitan or your regional area. All right, so you can see here's Dana Swenson. She has submitted a whole lot of information. As I kind of go down here, you'll see it. But you'll notice as I'm kind of scrolling through here, she hasn't written a book, and that's where I want to give you a few words of advice about writing these insights. Number one, try to keep it short, right? 3 or 4 sentences. But it's critically important that you take off your realtor's hat and you put yourself in the buyer's shoes. Right? And I've been with RE/MAX for a really long time, and I've seen some fantastic marketing materials. I really have. I've seen some 4-color, beautiful marketing materials that RE/MAX associates and offices have put together. That is marketing. That is promotional in nature. This, when you're doing an area insight, when you're writing one of these, it needs to be informational. Remember, you're helping the buyer make a decision. You're helping a buyer learn more about something in a community or a neighborhood. So don't make it marketing fluff. Make it meaningful information. And don't be afraid to make it your insight. Don't be afraid to put it in first-person format. This is my opinion. My family and I love to go down to the community park. They always play jazz every Sunday. It's just a great place to spend time with the family. Make it personal when you share some information if you can. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. So try to make it personal if you can. Don't do second or third person. Try to keep it in your opinion. This is your insight that you're sharing with buyers. Again, just like the other insights, you can see that I can share this on my Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and LinkedIn, or I can grab a link of this and I can email it directly to a buyer if I wanted to do that. Up here, you're going to see this little conversation button. This is an awesome little button, I'll tell you now. When I click on it, it allows the buyer to open up a one-on-one dialogue with you as the RE/MAX sales associate. So think about that. Maybe I'm scrolling through here as a buyer. I see that you've written something about a neighborhood that I'm kind of thinking about or I want to know more information about. I could open this up, ask you a question, put in my name, put in my email address, and basically email directly to you and begin that one-on-one conversation. This isn't like a LeadStreet lead. This is what I would call a conversational lead because you are having a one-on-one conversation with a buyer. And I'll talk a little bit more about those conversational leads here in just a little bit. So, okay, if I go back up here to the top of the page, a couple things that are going on. And I did talk about this being a comprehensive one-stop site for buyers. So in addition to the RE/MAX sales associates telling a story through pictures as well as the written word about the Gardendale community, I can also go up here and I can click on some of these different tools and resources. Up here, we have a link that goes to Yelp. Yelp, if you don't know, is the #1 customer review website on the internet, period. But here's the cool thing about this. Restaurants, shopping, arts and entertainment, active life, all of these items are specific to the Gardendale area, not Metro Birmingham. It's all broken down with customer reviews, and the reviews are all collected by the Yelp site. But these are all reviews that are about restaurants and such in the Gardendale area. Let's say I got a couple of kids. I need to look at schools. I need to get a good idea of them. I can click here on nearby schools. This is powered by Great Schools. It is basically a ranking system that is based upon state scoring on elementary, middle, and high schools. And I recently learned that in the high schools, they actually also look at the capability of the high school to place students in college. Love that. I mean, that is awesome when you look at the different rankings. I can break this down by elementary, middle, or high school. I can also break it down by public or private schools. I know there's a lot of areas in our regions that are very big into the private schools, Catholic schools or Christian schools, so you can actually view those as well. So I can go in here and I can see that I have Snow Rogers Elementary School. I've got Bragg Middle School. If I blow it up a little bit more, this is the Garden Elementary Middle School as well. So if I click on one of these, here, I'll bring it back down a little bit for us. There we go. I can click on this Snow Rogers Elementary School, and I can see this has a 4 out of 5 community rating. It has a 8 out of 10 great schools rating, and you can see here it gives you a little bit more information. Public school, K through 5. I've got all the contact information. If I wanted to go learn more about enrollment and such, I could literally click here and go directly to that link. Go to the website, the school's website, and learn more about that particular school. So start thinking about this site. Now we've got photos and written words being provided by featured local real estate experts. We've got Yelp reviews that's telling us more about restaurants and active life and all kinds of community amenities. We've got nearby schools that's being explained to us as well. It's just a couple of clicks to get to everything instead of having to go to 4 or 5 or 6 websites to get the same information. Let's say I don't know much about Gardendale. I can click on the map. I can actually look at it from this and see kind of like the city limits and see how things flow. I can also even, go with satellites. So I can look at the topography. I can blow it up and get real specific. This is all powered by Google Maps as well. And then I can also look at homes for sale specifically in Gardendale. So as I go down here, you'll see this is basically kind of the same information that's here is also found down here as well. Now, here's the nice thing about this. The foundation of this website is LeadStreet. So anytime that you put a listing into the MLS, it's automatically going to be fed into your Agent Insight website that's in your particular area. You don't have to worry about doing any of that kind of stuff. And leads, once they click onto the listing, leads are created and distributed just like LeadStreet distributes them now on a fair and equitable basis. You probably noticed up here that we also have another featured local expert with Stephen Witten from RE/MAX Classic in the area. He is being shown on this particular page because he's done an insight or submitted a photo about the Gardendale area specifically. That's why he is on this page. So let's say, we're looking at this, kind of like Gardendale. I wouldn't mind living in the Gardendale area. Now, here's the great thing. I love this. You can go over here and you can look at all of the different subdivisions and neighborhoods in the Gardendale area. The top ones are going to be the ones that have more submissions or more popular with the particular buyers when they're going in and clicking on this. So let's say we're going to look at Pebble Creek, right? We're thinking about living in that subdivision. Okay, now we have another featured local expert, Cindy Mars. She's featured here because she has written or done some sort of submission about the Pebble Creek subdivision. So if I go down here, so by the way, if you look at the top buttons, all of this has now been taken down another level that is specific to the Pebble Creek subdivision area. I mean, really, you can go and look at homes for sale near the Pebble Creek area, and you can see, looks like Cindy's the only one that's done an insight. So she's given us a little bit of an insight about Pebble Creek. I might, as a buyer, click on here and ask her what's the average, price of a home in that particular area, or what are some of the other amenities. Also, I can click on a picture. I've got the caption, and I'm sure that's also done by Cindy. So, this is great. I mean, from Cindy's perspective, she's done some coverage of this particular subdivision, and she's the only RE/MAX sales associate who has provided information about that subdivision. To me, kind of like Foursquare, she's the mayor of that particular area. All right, you have noticed that on every single page we do have this featured local expert. There's kind of a home base for that, and it's under Meet the Local Experts. So if I click on that, every single RE/MAX sales associate who has submitted an agent insight or a photo is going to be shown on this page, and you can see there's a whole lot of RE/MAX associates who have submitted information on this particular website, who have literally helped build the content of this website. And the little red number next to their name here, you can see Denise has about 149 insights about the area. Now if we go up, and I think the two top ladies, here we are, Wanda Williams Turner with 257 insights or submissions. That's a ton of information. But also there's Karen Polovich here with 237. I got to say, these ladies really quickly understood the power of putting in information in their name with insights and photos. They understood that the search engines work a specific way, that the more times you're mentioned, and you continually feed a website with fresh content, the higher you're personally going to go in the search engine ranking results as well. But you would think that with 257 submissions and 237 submissions that they would be up here at the top of the page. That's not how it works. The last RE/MAX sales associate to submit an insight is Bonnie Hicks. You can see she has 68 insights. The one before her, and I remember seeing Karen just the other day, and here she was in the #1 slot, but she is the second last person to have submitted an insight. And then we have Leah, then we have Anthony, then we have Chad, and so on and so on. Each of you already have a profile in the Agent Insight website in your area. Many of you have maybe listening to this as a refresher course. You probably already know that. You've gone in, you just maybe want to get a little bit better idea. But for those of you who I haven't had a chance to talk with about this, here's a profile. Let's take a look at Bonnie's profile. She's got a pretty darn good one. So again, all of you have a profile. There's just a little bit that you have to do to build it. And Bonnie has made the decision to go in, and she's written a little paragraph about herself. That's really all you have to do to customize your profile. The picture that you see there is automatically going to be pulled in from LeadStreet. Also, all of your LeadStreet contact information is going to be listed here. You can view a buyer can go in and view your Reliance or LeadStreet website. They can contact you directly. They can look at your featured listings as well. So the one piece of advice I'll give you about this profile over here is make sure it's not a book, okay? A buyer's not going to read a whole lot of information, so she's done just what I would probably do. Most of the time I say don't make it any longer than your photo. Because that's just about short enough that a buyer will probably look at that. Also, as I go down here, you can see this is all of Bonnie's pictures that she's taken of different amenities, different subdivisions, whatever it might be. She's done quite a few, as you can see. Also, all of her personal insights that she's done on all of the different areas are also going to be listed here as well. So if we go down, you can see she's done a lot of different insights on different things, not just about subdivisions. Here's Liberty Park, here's the Trustful Public Library, the YMCA, Williams Orchard and Garden Center. So she's done a nice mix of different items. Up here again are all of her featured listings. They're featured here as well as at the top of the page. And all of her areas of expertise, all of the different cities, subdivisions, school districts that she's written about are going to be listed there as well. Really, really cool. All right, I'm going to pop back out here for just a few more moments, and I'll talk a little bit more about some of the whys. I guess a compelling why of why would I want to be involved in this particular project. Typically, I get 3 questions when I'm talking to folks about Agent Insight. Number 1 is, how much is this going to cost me? Number 2 is, what do I have to do? And number 3, what's in it for me? Why should I put time and effort into helping build the content of a website? Number 1, so let's deal with question number 1. How much is this going to cost me? This is realtor-friendly pricing. It absolutely costs you nothing to participate in this program. And participating is absolutely optional. Obviously, I'm going to talk about a lot of the benefits that I think you'll agree by the time I get finished that this is a really great project to get involved in, put some of your time and really get involved. I mean, to me, there really never is a free lunch, right? There's always a price for something that you have to pay. In this instance, the price that you're going to have to pay is your time. It's going to take time for you to go out and take pictures. It's going to take time for you to sit down and write 3 or 4, maybe a paragraph about something that's really interesting to that particular buyer that's going to help them make a decision of where they want to live. Second question I typically get is, what do I have to do? So, number one, it's really easy. Share your personal insight. You have a dual benefit over everybody else. Number one, you're a native of your area. You know your community. You know the good stuff. You know the bad stuff. The stuff that you want to keep away from. You also are a realtor. So that's even a double benefit. You know all the nooks and crannies of these different subdivisions and neighborhoods within your community. You got a buyer going online looking for the best walking trails in a subdivision. You know that subdivision. Maybe you've got a buyer who is a workout fanatic and wants to be next to a specific gym. You know the best subdivisions that are closest to that particular gym. So you've got that dual benefit working with you. All you have to do is go in and share your personal insights through photos as well as the written word. Also, applying your local knowledge. I got to tell you, when we started working on the Birmingham website, there was a lot of areas that were unincorporated. We didn't know where this particular area, which city it should be associated to. There was a lot of new subdivisions that were being developed, right? So we relied on the RE/MAX brokers and sales associates to help us tweak that local map, that geography, add in the new subdivisions, correct different things, take subdivisions out that probably are defunct or kind of dying away. We have to rely on you to help us because we want to make sure that when we launch the website in your particular area, if it hasn't already launched, we want to make sure that the buyer has a comprehensive site that is absolutely awesome for them to be able to reference. And the last thing is really just help promote the new site. Share it with your customers, your prospects. Make sure you share it on your social media. Once you post information to the site, make sure you share it on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on your Google+. Wherever you're on social media, I would recommend you share it. It gives you a little bit more boost also in the search engine ranking results, a little more what I call search engine juice, right? You're just having your name and your information show up one more time that's fresh and new to the search engines as they go out. All right, so really, what's in it for me? Why should I go about doing this? Number one, you saw on every single page that we have featured local real estate experts. The more information that you put in, the more likely you are to be part of those featured local experts. I can tell you now that, Wanda Williams Turner with 257 submissions is definitely going to show up more than someone who's only done a couple. So the more information you put in, the more photos, the more insightful comments that you make, the higher you're going to be and the more times that you're going to be shown as that featured local expert. Also, this is a great listing presentation tool. It truly is. Imagine you're sitting at home, you get a knock on the door, your neighbor's coming over and saying, hey, I know you're with RE/MAX. I'm getting ready to sell my home. I'd love to talk to you about that. I'm going to talk to a couple other RE/MAX sales associates as well, or other sales associates as well, but I'd really like to talk to you first because you're my neighbor. Imagine you being able to go in, pull up on your laptop, go to Google, type in, homes for sale in your city, in your subdivision for what you think is about the average price, say $200,000, and up pops the subdivision link, right, for that particular page on the Agent Insight website. I went out and I looked and did a search a while back of my old subdivision that I used to live in, Burroughs Estates, and I thought, I wonder how it ranks. It came up number one in the Google search, and I've traveled around quite a bit and talked to a lot of different folks about Agent Insight, and I remember one of them said, hey, that's a screen capture. Show me live. Go in there and show me it. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to pop over. There we go. I'm going to go in here and we're going to go to Google here real quick. There we go. And I'm going to type in homes for sale in Blue. Oh, there we go. You can see it was an old search of mine. Blue Springs, Missouri, and Burr Oaks Estates. Click. There we go. So here you can see number one over here are the paid ads. Studies have shown that no one likes to click on the paid ads, just for the record. But if I go in here, and this is interesting. This truly is, and you'll understand it more. So if I look at what we call organic search, right? It's just organic. No one's paid to be in this particular area. You can see that we have 107,000 results for this long tail search. So you can see if I click on the second one, you'll notice that we have the subdivision page in the Kansas City website. And here's David Weisman. He's our featured local expert. I can assure you that David's gone in, he's taken pictures, he's done the written comments, the insights about this particular subdivision. He's also the selling broker in the Blue Springs area. He does a phenomenal job, and I know he's covered a lot of the subdivisions throughout the Blue Springs area. Blue Springs is a little suburb of the Kansas City metro area. So here he is showing up as the featured local expert. Here's what I want to back up and show you, and I really find this interesting. Look who is #1 in the organic search. Here is David Weisman's personal LeadStreet website. Now keep in mind, I didn't search for David. I searched for a subdivision in Blue Springs, but because he's put so much different information in here about Blue Springs, about the different subdivisions, his own personal LeadStreet website is the one that's #1 in the organic search, and hopefully it's going to come up here. Looks like the internet may be a little bit slow here today. But I mean, really, when I talk about putting in information, and every time that your name is mentioned, right, you get a little bit more boost in the search engine ranking results. David proves that quite easily here, that his own, there we go, his own LeadStreet site is coming up first. I mean, that's pretty darn amazing. There we go. And you can see this is David's LeadStreet website, the one that Reliance has built, the one that's part of the LeadStreet program. All right, I'm going to close that up and I'll pop back over here into the presentation. And you know, the one thing that I'm really noticing, and in Kansas City, we'll use them as an example. In Kansas City, there's about 5,000 subdivisions throughout the entire KC metro area. And of that, you know, the sales associates have actually done a really good job. They've gone in and covered about 1,000 of those, a little over 1,000 of those subdivisions with different insights and different photos. The thing that I find most interesting now, and you can kind of see some of these popping up, is that more than half of them are now showing up in the top 5 rankings of the Google search. So I mean, that's where we want to be. Think about it. You can't be on page 2. When a buyer goes and does a search, we cannot be on page 2. You honestly want to be at the top of that page, that top 2, 3, 4, 5 listings, beyond a doubt. You know, whenever you want to have the buyer start clicking and looking at different areas. So that's the whole concept behind that. We can see that's really happening. The more subdivisions that are covered, the higher we go up in the search engine ranking results literally every day. All right, also, you know, this is always a good point. I think David really drives this home. You know, he's gone out, he's taken a lot of pictures of subdivisions. You know, and keep in mind, you know, you can go out and you can take a picture of the subdivision entrance sign maybe. Maybe it has a pool or a country club or a clubhouse. Maybe it has walking trails. Maybe it has a children's playground. Go out there and take pictures of all of that stuff, beyond a doubt. Then go back and write a couple of sentences about each of those things. If you want to truly flood, you know, your particular site with information about subdivisions, go out and do all of that kind of stuff like Foursquare. Be the mayor. Wherever you live, whatever subdivision or neighborhood that you live in, make sure that you own it, that you go out and do all that information and you cover with photos and insights. Maybe you have a development that you're working exclusively with. Make sure you're the one that goes out there and takes pictures of all of that information. You definitely want to do that. Because again, you want to be the mayor. You want to be the featured local expert whenever someone goes in and clicks on that particular subdivision page. Also, I mentioned conversational leads. You know, it's different than LeadStreet leads where you can click on the conversation button, open up a one-on-one conversation directly. We're seeing so much more of this happen now than we ever have before. And keep this in mind. I mean, when you look at the millennial generation, this huge generation that's coming in and buying homes for the first time, they're pretty well a 24/7, you know, gotta have it now, instant gratification sort of generation. So, I mean, they're going to be more inclined to click on that conversation button, start having a conversation with you directly right now, because that's the way they are. They want to have answers with you as soon as they possibly can. And these are just some of the different conversations, different leads that have been generated over the last year or so in Kansas City and Alabama, all throughout the RE/MAX Mid-States and Dixie regional area. All right, last one that I want to kind of mention, I think I've kind of beaten this up a little bit, is, you know, the higher personal ranking results on search engines, which results in leads. I mean, look at David. You know, that was just one subdivision, and I completely understand that. But, you know, that is just one subdivision that someone may be seeking. But if you seek other Blue Springs, Missouri subdivisions, David also shows up there. So the more you put in on a regular basis, the higher you're personally going to go in those search engine ranking results too. All right, let's talk about results. I'm not a big numbers guy necessarily, but I do like to talk about the results. All this work, what's happening with it? What kind of results are we seeing? And when we launched Kansas City and Birmingham, we had about 1,000 submissions that Remax sales associates had put in all those different photos, all those different insightful comments, right? And we are today we're at about 4,000 in Kansas City, about 3,000 in Birmingham. Birmingham launched in mid-October of 2013. And here's what I want to show you. I thought this was really interesting. When we went and launched it, we got a couple of different things. This is small, so I'll kind of describe it. Down here at the bottom of the barrel was RemaxAlabama.com as well as the Greater Alabama MLS.com. Really not a whole lot of traffic going in here, but all along this time frame, right, Remax sales associates were putting in that 1,000 submissions. Now up here we have Weichert.com. They do pretty good with their web play, their web traffic. And here is the number 1 company in Birmingham, Realty South. Now I can tell you Realty South puts a lot of money in their internet play. They have pay-per-click ads, they have banner ads, not only on an office level, but also on an individual sales associate level. So there's lots of money being poured into building their web traffic in the Birmingham area with this number 1 company. So if we go back here, again, we're building the website here. We turned on the website so the search engines could see it around October 7th, and we launched the website to the public about mid-October, right? In 3 weeks, this is what happened. And people go, wow, we were able to take over the web traffic in the Birmingham area in less than 3 weeks. That's phenomenal. How did that happen? Well, if you think about it, we've got 1,000 pieces of brand new information building up here, and we open the floodgates to the search engines. The search engines start picking up all of this new information and start going, wow, let's start driving all this fresh content to the top of the search engine ranking results, which means people found us easier. They clicked on our websites, was able to go into the different subdivision pages as well as the different community pages. And all along in here, the Remax Birmingham sales associates were still putting in content, still are today. I can tell you that. Here's something that happened with organic search traffic. So here's our traffic on the Birmingham, Alabama website. Going in, nothing's going on. This is basically organic search traffic. That means that when I do a search, like I did before, for homes for sale in Blue Springs, Missouri, right? And the search engine results came up. When I click on it, this is traffic that was then coming into the Birmingham website after we launched the website. Leads volume in Alabama in the Birmingham area went up about 20%. So, we do know, the concept's really pretty simple if you think about it. You build a website that has such rich content that the search engines find you very easily and drive you up to the top of the search engine ranking results, which means buyers are going to click on that information. They come into the website. It's a sticky website, so they look around a lot. They find the communities, they find the subdivisions they like, and eventually they're going to click on a listing on the side there. It's going to take them, basically hand them off to LeadStreet, where they go into LeadStreet and start looking at specific homes because now they know where they want to live. They have all the information they ever needed. Really, really easy concept. If you look at Birmingham today, our natural search traffic continues to increase. We still outrank all of the competitors, including the number 1 Realty South company. We also have seen that our mobile user share has doubled in the last 6 months. That is huge. Think about it. This young generation of millennials, they use their mobile phone and their tablet more than any other generation before them to not only play, but also to do their business. So they're using their phone, they're using their tablet to be able to go out and find our particular websites through the search engines. If you look at Kansas City, the web traffic has increased up about 900% over the year that it's been launched. It launched back in mid-July of 2013. So we continue to see good traffic going into Kansas City as well. All right, so let's talk about, how-tos. Let's say you're sold. Okay, the results look great. This doesn't, I can see that can personally help me as well. How do I go about submitting an insight? How hard, honestly, is this going to be, right? Well, number 1, and there's also a help document. I'll show you where you can find this. That'll cover all of this as well, but I want to kind of walk you through it. Number 1, you're going to go to agentinsight.net on your laptop, tablet, or smartphone. Doesn't make a difference. You're going to log in using your MainStreet, not your LeadStreet, but your MainStreet username and password. Once you do that, you're going to pick the location. Could be a city in your area, could be a subdivision, whatever you're thinking about. And then you're going to submit your insight. You're going to do that 3 or 4 sentences that are meaningful to a buyer, that are in your words. Okay, and I'll talk about some of the do's and don'ts when you're submitting an insight and also submitting photos. And I'll kind of show you where to go to be able to do this as well. Photos, just as easy. You go to agentinsight.net, you're going to log in, you're going to pick your location, and then just like Facebook, you're simply going to upload your photo. But you're going to provide a caption. It needs to be a good enough caption that kind of gives the buyer an idea of what you're talking about. This is different than Facebook, okay, for those of you who are familiar and use that quite a bit. The photo does not tie to the insight, the written word that you may have done. Like in Facebook, you can upload a photo and then do kind of like a status update about that particular photo. The photo and the insight on this particular website are two standalone items. Keep that in mind, okay? So, and that's good because we want to have more items about something specific, about something in a community or in a neighborhood. We want to have more instead of just one. We want to have two. All right, videos, if you do videos, and I've seen video being really popular, think about this. I mean, Google is the #1 search engine in the world. YouTube is #2. So there's so many videos out there that people are using to learn, to look at houses, to do whatever. But you could go out and you could do a tour, right, of a subdivision or maybe a community center or something along those lines. The old historic part of downtown, whatever it might be. You can go and do a video tour of that. Just one thing, you need to be sure that you upload your video to YouTube first. Then you're going to go in, you're going to log into Agent Insight. Right? You're going to pick your location and you're going to start an insight. And I'll go and show you what I'm talking about here. A little further down on the page for the insight is a place where you can add a link to the YouTube video. So let's say maybe you don't have a YouTube video, but maybe you have a link to a subdivision or maybe a community event or something along those lines, and you want to be able to share that URL, that hyperlink, right, with the buyers. You can do that as well. You can go and you can add a link to an insight by going to agentinsight.net, log in, start your insight, and then you're going to add the URL and name. Now, we know that the URL itself is going to be looking kind of ugly. It'll be like HTTP, all that kind of stuff, right? But you can also name your link. So even if it's a weird subdivision, URL, you can still name it and keep it looking nice and clean. Okay? All right. Also, I mentioned that you are going to be the individual that tweaks, right, the geography. It's really easy. On every single page, there's a report a missing or incorrect location that you'll be able to see. You can click on that and it will bring up a little pop-up window that you can go in and be able to add that information or correct information if you need to. And I'll kind of show you that as well. So let's pop over here real quick and let's look at a few things. Okay, so let's say that we're going to submit an insight on Birmingham. That's a big city, right? There we go. So again, as I mentioned before, the red buttons only you can see. Okay, there's Wanda Williams Turner showing up as that featured local expert. But a couple of things that can happen here. I can submit an area insight, I can submit a photo. I want to show you something about these community widgets that's really cool. I'm going to do it by going to Wanda's profile here. We'll pull hers up. We're going there. Woo! Internet's just a little bit slow today, folks. I apologize for that. There we go. So here's Wanda Williams Turner profile. If I get her agent widgets, and this is something that she would do, you'll find that when you log in, you're able to identify these widgets. These widgets are really, really cool, folks. You can take these widgets and you can put them on any website that you want that you own, right? It could be your LeadStreet website. You may have another listing website that you want to put these widgets on as well. But there are a bunch of different widgets. Number one, this is the profile widget. So it gives a little bit of information about you, and then you can also go through and look at some of the different profiles or insights that she has submitted as far as Wanda goes. Areas of expertise, same thing. All the different areas that she has submitted, you can look at it by map. You can look at it by a list. So I can see all the different areas of expertise that Wanda has submitted. And I can click on this and they all have, as you can see, links directly to those subdivisions and to those cities. Up here, and I really like this one. This is really cool. A community photo carousel. So it's going to bring up pictures of Discover Birmingham. Now you can make this more specific. I could break this down to Gardendale or whatever it might be, right? And I can do that. But here's the thing. I can go through and look at all these different pictures that other RE/MAX sales associates have taken. And let's say I can click on one and it's actually going to take me to that particular area or subdivision. Now here's the cool thing. Look, because we were doing this under Wanda Williams Turner, right? Now this is Beth Conwell's picture, right? She took this picture of the neighborhood pool at Brook Highland. So if I close that up though, whenever you use the widgets and you have a buyer click on them and they go and look at a particular subdivision or a particular community, you're always going to be the featured local expert because it's your widget. Okay, so that's really easy to use, and I'll show you how easy. I'm going to close that up. There we go. We're back in here. So how easy it is to use these widgets. Right down here, you can go into the LeadStreet site builder. All you have to do is copy and paste all of the code. It's already written specifically, as you can see, this is specifically for Wanda Williams Turner right there. Really, really great tools that you can use. There's also Community Snapshot, which is a little smaller. You could pick out a specific community subdivision, be able to do a preview of that. And here's what I like, and let's be honest with one another. When you go in and you look at your profile on LeadStreet, it's not necessarily the best profile. It's kind of like a cookie cutter profile in there. You could take this profile and you could put that in your LeadStreet page, and it would include all of your contact information along with all of your pictures and all of your insights. All you got to do is right there go get the widget. Really easy to use, folks. I encourage you, if you haven't taken the time to play around with these widgets, if you've been using Agent Insight, I highly recommend that you go and do that. These are really powerful tools that you can use on any of your listing websites. All right, so let's go back. Let's go back to doing an insight. I kind of got a little sidetracked there because I really wanted you to see kind of what that was all about. There we go. So let's go back down. We were looking at Birmingham, right? So we're going to click on a city. We're picking a location, and it's going to bring up the Birmingham city site. So here I could submit a photo or submit an area insight. I'm going to do an insight, so I'm going to click on that. It's going to bring up another page where I can go in and put in the information on a form. Real easy. You notice I already selected Birmingham, so it's already selected for me. Here's where I would put in like a neighborhood, a development, or maybe a school district kind of thing. And I don't know the subdivisions well in Birmingham, so I'm going to just type in the word "the." Automatically gives me a pull-down menu of subdivisions. I know in some of the areas where we're still building the websites, they're still loading in some of these different subdivisions, so you may or may not see this. But let's say, for example, we're going to do an insight about the Crescent, a subdivision in the area. In the title or headline, make sure you mention what you're talking about. And again, we're talking about content-based searches with the search engines. The more times you mention something, right, the higher it goes in the search engine ranking results. It wins the popularity contest. So you're going to say, something along the lines of like, the Crescent is a beautiful place to live. You're going to go down here and you're going to do 3 or 4 sentences, a paragraph about the Crescent. Here's what I would recommend too here. Make sure you mention the Crescent subdivision a couple of times. Again, the more times you mention something, the more times it's going to be picked up by the search engines. So you could start it off with talking about the Crescent subdivision. Maybe you ended talking about the Crescent subdivision, conveniently located near I-10 or whatever it might be. Down here is where you would put in your YouTube video link. Also, here's where you would put any related links like subdivision or community pages, and here's where you would name this particular link again. Then you have a chance, just like Yelp, to be able to go in and do a 5-star rating about the different amenities of that neighborhood or subdivision. If you need a little bit of guidance, right here, Insight Ideas and Guidelines, they're going to tell you that, and also what to avoid. Very, very easy to use. So let's say maybe when we went in here, the Crescent wasn't in there or was missing. We can go in here, and like I mentioned before, there's links where you can click on that. It's going to bring up a little pop-up window, and you can basically add new, correct, remove, or report inaccurate information. Let's say here we would put in the Crescent, and then we would let the developers know, the folks on the other end of Agent Insight, is this a subdivision, a condo, a city, a neighborhood, an informal area, or something else? And you can even go in and get as specific as saying, okay, I know that the Crescent is located right here. You can take this little pin drop it, go down if you need to make additional comments, and click on Submit. It should take you no more than 5 minutes to be able to submit something that's new, maybe a new development area, or fix something that isn't in that particular location or is misspelled or whatever it might be. So, all right. Let's talk about the do's and don'ts, because there are definitely some things you want to do, and there's things you definitely don't want to do when it's submitting photos and submitting your insightful comments. So let's talk about photos first. Number 1, they should be taken in landscape orientation. No vertical pictures. I mean, if you go back over here and we go down to the website, you're going to notice that all of these pictures are in that rectangular format. It's horizontal. Make sure you do that. Don't take vertical pictures, because when you do, they have to blow it up to make it work in this format. We want to make sure that we can kind of rotate through a set of 4 pictures, and the rectangle size works the best. All right, send at the highest possible resolution. Your phone is fine, beyond a doubt. But I know a lot of realtors who do use a digital camera. If you're using a digital camera, make sure that you kind of check the settings. You don't want it on low, at least make it medium to high setting so we can send it and make sure it looks really crisp and sharp. Remember, you're telling a story through pictures. You want to make sure they look good. Do not send photos of people with recognizable faces. No crowd. I mean, you can just don't get up close. You could still do parades and festivals and such like that. that, just make it a crowd shot. Just don't get too close. We don't have the rights to publish a person's picture without their permission on a public website. And we don't want to have to go worry about getting all kinds of waivers. So just know, kind of stand back a little bit more when you're taking the crowd shots. Most importantly is that you must own the rights to the photo. That means you took it or you paid someone to take it. And even more importantly is that it has not appeared anywhere else on the internet, including your Facebook page. You know, I'd be saying, well, wait a minute, that's my Facebook page. That's a picture that I took. Keep in mind what I was talking about earlier about the search engines. Every day the search engines go out and they look for new content. Anything that's old, they have already indexed and cataloged it. So, I mean, it has what we call a digital watermark has already been placed upon it so that the search engines know what's new and what's already previously been there. So, I mean, you don't want to go and grab something from your Facebook page, even if it's a beautiful picture, and put it into Agent Insight because the search engines have already seen it. And more importantly, when the search engines have already indexed and cataloged it and you have put it somewhere else, it actually punishes you. It actually takes that and says, okay, the search engines just think you stole it, right? Well, they're actually going to lower us in the search engine ranking results if we take a picture from another website, or we take text, kind of copy and paste from another website as well. So make sure that you own the rights to the photo. If you've taken a beautiful sunset picture, another sunset's going to happen. Just take another one that's very comparable, but one that you haven't posted on the internet anywhere else. And also, do not send pictures of active listings, no yard signs. You don't have to. All of your listings are already going to be in the website, pulled from the LeadStreet or MLS when you put that listing in. And one thing not up here that I always like to mention, do me a favor, get out of your car when you take the picture. Take that extra 5 to 10 seconds to get out of your car. I don't care how clean you think your windshield is. It's not that clean. There's also glare. Don't roll down your passenger window and take a picture as you're driving by something. Just take that extra time. Make sure you take a beautiful picture for people to be able to see. All right? Also, insights, the written word. Do not copy and paste from another website, be it a Chamber of Commerce or Convention and Visitors Bureau or whatever it might be. Just like the photos, every single piece of text has been indexed on the internet. So it knows, if you're plagiarizing, basically. For some of us, we got to go back a little bit longer, but remember going to high school and you had to do report papers, you had to do research, and then you had to put that research in your own words. Same thing. You can go and look at other websites, just don't copy and paste it. Just use it for research purposes. Also, don't promote yourself. You don't need to. You have a great profile out there. So don't worry about linking back to your website or your listings or whatever. Just know that you have a great profile that's going to talk all about you. And don't limit yourself with only real estate topics. Make sure you tell the full story about a community. Talk about the churches and the schools and the restaurants and the city halls and all the other amenities that are part of a community. Go into that, and then also go in and cover the subdivisions. You can keep it real estate specific too, but make sure you tell that story to the buyer to where they can learn everything they need to know about that particular community. All right, videos, I know we kind of talked about that. Number one, you gotta must be on YouTube, must have editorial value, and you can do commercial acknowledgement. So what does that mean? Well, editorial value means don't do a video that just promotes you, right? Don't do a video just about you or about your office. Do a video about a subdivision. Take them on a tour of something. Really give them good content. But that doesn't mean you can't take credit for the video. That's where we talk about commercial acknowledgement. Last 4 or 5 seconds of your video, it's okay to throw up your picture with your contact information. That's fine. Just don't make it overly, promotional in nature. Also, links, kind of like the videos, keep it meaningful to the buyer. Don't link it back to your listings. Don't link it back to any of your particular website. Give it editorial value. Link that to, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe, like I said before, it's a community event, something along those lines that's going to give the buyer more information about something. So do keep in mind that every single one of your photos, every single one of your insights is being reviewed on the other end. The folks at Agent Insight have a couple of individuals that will go through, and they'll crop your photos if it needs to be cropped a little bit to make it look better. They're also going to look through your insight for spelling and punctuation and grammar. So hey, if you're not real good at spelling or any of those things, don't worry about it. Their job at Agent Insight is to make you look as good as possible with that finished insight. Okay, that's why they're there. That's why they're checking every single word and looking at every single picture. All right. Okay. One other thing that I do want to mention, this is really great. This is a brand new website called Insight Insider, and the web address, and I'll pop over here. I think I got it pulled up right here. There we go. It is the URL is insider http://insider.agentinsight.net. Okay, real easy to go to, but this is chock full of great information. Let's say you're new, maybe you're joining me on this session because you want to learn more about Agent Insight and get started. There's a whole getting started section that takes you through how to do different things with the website, how to write stuff, finding the time, just giving you really good advice about how to go about doing these different insights, what's right to write, that kind of stuff. Also, if I go back here, I like this as well. These how-to videos right down here, these are awesome. If you're more of a visual person, it'll go into how you add a photo using your computer browser, a basic Insight submission, also submitting photos using a mobile device, even installing the Agent Insight widgets on a LeadStreet website. It goes really, really specific. So I encourage you to go in here and really play around. This is going to be your one-stop for learning more and more about Agent Insight. Also, I know that some of you are using what we call Premier Service. It's basically a LeadStreet add-on service that the folks that happen to run Agent Insight also do Premier Service. And Premier Service, to me, it's one of those sites where you don't have the time to be able to go in and customize your LeadStreet website. Maybe you don't have time to do a little bit more search engine optimization or whatever it might be. The folks at Premier Service will do that for you. It's $35 a month. They can go in, they'll create you a custom template for your LeadStreet website. They'll make changes to it every single month for you. They'll do some things that also help you with the search engines as well. It is a month-to-month contract if you want to do that. So I would highly recommend going out and checking them out. The web URL for that is www.premierservicehub.com. So you might want to go check that out. Again, it may not be for everybody. Maybe you're extremely tech savvy and you've built a fantastic website, then you're probably covered. But if if you aren't tech savvy or you don't have the time, this definitely may be an option for you. All right. All right, folks, well, that concludes this. And I want to say thanks so much for joining me today to learn more about this exciting project that we've launched throughout the entire Reliance Mid-States and Dixie region. There are so many benefits to you on a personal level by diving in and building the best buyer site in your area, as well as helping to build the Reliance name at the same time. And as I mentioned before, this is your website. This is not the regional website. This is your website. And the content that you provide through your expertise and your insights will only make it one that buyers will return to time and time again. So again, thanks for your time, folks. I really appreciate it, and have a fantastic day.